Have you ever wondered why the kindest person you know suddenly goes quiet when asked about their own life? Why they'd rather listen to your problems for hours but shut down the moment the spotlight turns on them? Today we're diving into the hidden world of INFJs, the rarest personality type, and uncovering the raw, emotional reasons they lock their feelings away. This isn't just about personality traits. It's about the fear, the trauma, and the quiet strength behind their silence. Let's unravel the mystery together. 1. The INFJ paradox. Warmth on the surface, storms underneath. INFJs are like human paradoxes. On the outside, they're warm, approachable, and always ready to lend a shoulder to cry on. But beneath that calm exterior, there's a storm of emotions they rarely let anyone see. Imagine being a deep ocean. The surface looks peaceful, but underneath, powerful currents swirl. INFJs feel emotions intensely, but they've mastered the art of hiding them. Why? Because they believe showing vulnerability might disrupt the harmony around them. They're natural protectors, often putting others' comfort above their own needs. For example, an INFJ might smile through a family gathering while silently grieving a personal loss, just to avoid ruining the mood. Their greatest fear isn't being hurt, it's hurting others with their pain. 2. I don't want to burden you. The fear of overwhelming others. INFJs have a habit of treating their emotions like heavy luggage. They'll carry yours, but they'll never hand you theirs. They've convinced themselves that their struggles are too messy or too complicated to share. Picture this. An INFJ friend spends hours comforting you after a bad day, but when you ask how they're doing, they brush it off with a quick, "Don't worry about me." It's not that they don't trust you. They're terrified of being seen as needy or dramatic. Many INFJs grew up being told to stop overreacting when they express sadness or anger, so they learn to swallow their feelings. Over time, this becomes a reflex. They'd rather suffer in silence than risk overwhelming someone they care about. 3. The sanctuary within, protecting their inner world. For INFJs, their inner world isn't just private, it's sacred. They've built mental walls not to push people away, but to protect the fragile parts of themselves they rarely show. Think of it like a secret garden. They'll let you peek at the flowers, but the deepest corners, where the thorns and broken pots lie, stay locked. Why? Because INFJs have been burned before. Maybe they opened up to a partner who later used their insecurities against them, or a friend who laughed off their fears. So now they guard their emotions like a dragon guards treasure. Trust isn't given lightly. They'll test you with small secrets first, like sharing a minor worry, to see if you respond with kindness or judgment. Pass the test, and the gates might slowly open. 4. Sensitivity as a double-edged sword. INFJs aren't just sensitive, they're emotional sponges. They absorb the energy of every room they walk into. A coworker's bad mood, a friend's sarcastic joke, or even a stranger's tense body language can stick to them like glue. But here's the problem. Society often labels this sensitivity as weakness. So INFJs learn to hide it. They'll laugh at a hurtful joke to avoid conflict or pretend they're fine after being criticized. Over time, this act becomes exhausting. Imagine wearing a mask 24/7 that says, "I'm okay," while inside you're crumbling. Many INFJs turn to creative outlets, like writing, art, or music, to quietly release emotions they can't express aloud. 5. The harmony trap. Avoiding conflict at all costs. INFJs would rather walk on hot coals than start an argument. Their biggest nightmare? Being the reason someone else feels hurt or uncomfortable. So when they're upset, they don't speak up, they retreat. Let's say an INFJ's partner forgets their anniversary. Instead of expressing disappointment, the INFJ might say, "It's no big deal," then cry alone later. Why? Because confronting the issue feels like rocking a boat they've worked hard to keep steady. They'll replay conversations in their head for days, thinking, "Was I too harsh? Did I hurt their feelings?" This fear of conflict often stems from childhood. Many INFJs grew up in homes where yelling or tension was common, so they associate emotional expression with chaos. 6. Perfectionism in the shadows. If I can't fix it, why share it? INFJs are secret perfectionists. They don't just want to solve problems, they need to fix them perfectly. Admitting they're struggling feels like admitting failure. Imagine a student who aces every test but hides their report card after getting a B+. For INFJs, emotions are treated the same way. If they can't solve their sadness or anxiety overnight, they'll bury it. They'll think, "Why bother telling anyone? I should handle this myself." This mindset often leads to burnout. They'll juggle work, family, and friends without asking for help until one day they collapse under the weight. Unfortunately, by then they've convinced everyone they're fine, so no one sees the crash coming. 7. Ghosts of the past, when vulnerability backfired. Most INFJs have a vault of painful memories where opening up backfired. Maybe they trusted a friend who later gossiped about their insecurities, or a parent who dismissed their childhood fears as silly. These experiences leave deep scars. For instance, an INFJ might have mustered the courage to confess a crush in high school, only to be mocked. Now, as an adult, they'll hide romantic feelings entirely, terrified of rejection. Over time, they develop a mantra: if I don't share it, it can't hurt me. The walls go up, not out of coldness, but self-preservation. 8. The cultural script: strong people don't cry. Society praises the strong, silent type, the hero who suffers in silence. INFJs, especially those raised in strict or traditional households, internalize this message early. Boys hear, men don't cry, while girls are told, stop being so emotional. An INFJ might hide tears during a funeral to be strong for others or swallow anger during an unfair work review to stay professional. They're trapped between their natural empathy and cultural expectations. Even phrases like, don't take things personally, make them feel guilty for having normal human reactions. 9. Empathy overload, when helping others hurts you. INFJs are natural rescuers. They're the ones friends call at 2 a.m. during a crisis, the coworkers who volunteer for extra projects, and the family members who mediate every argument. But constantly putting others first trains them to ignore their own needs. Imagine a lifeguard who saves drowning swimmers but forgets to come up for air themselves. INFJs often don't realize they're drowning until it's too late. They'll cancel their own therapy appointments to drive a friend to theirs or skip meals to meet a deadline for their team. Their inner voice whispers, everyone else matters more. 10. The intuition trap: I already know how you'll react. INFJs have a spooky ability to predict how people will behave. Their intuition isn't just a gut feeling, it's a loud, relentless voice. So before sharing a secret, their mind races. If I tell mom I'm quitting my job, she'll say I'm irresponsible. If I admit I'm depressed, my friend will compare me to her cousin who has it worse. Often, they decide it's safer to stay silent. It's like having a crystal ball that only shows worst-case scenarios. This hyper-awareness stems from years of observing patterns. They know which topics trigger certain reactions, so they avoid them altogether. 11. The Martyr syndrome: I have to handle this alone. INFJs wear independence like armor. Asking for help feels like admitting defeat. Picture a single parent working 2 jobs, refusing to ask for childcare help because I can manage. INFJs adopt this mindset emotionally. They'll struggle with anxiety alone, thinking, I shouldn't bother anyone with this. Even when loved ones offer support, they'll decline, saying, I don't want to be a burden. This self-sacrifice often leads to isolation. They'll praise others for being brave when they open up but label their own struggles as weakness. 12. The slow unfolding: why INFJs need time to trust. INFJs aren't being mysterious, they're cautious. Trust isn't something they give freely, it's earned through consistency and safety. Think of them like a shy animal. If you move too fast or push too hard, they'll vanish. But if you're patient, they'll gradually step into the light. For example, an INFJ might share a small insecurity after 6 months of friendship, then wait to see if you dismiss it or hold it gently. With each positive reaction, they'll reveal a little more. This isn't a game, it's survival. They've learned that not everyone deserves access to their heart. Conclusion: so why do INFJs hide their emotions? It's not because they're cold, distant, or unfeeling. It's because they feel too much and care too deeply. Their silence is a shield, protecting both themselves and others from the storm inside. But here's the truth: INFJs want to connect. They crave relationships where they don't have to edit their thoughts or mute their hearts. If you love an INFJ, don't push them to open up faster. Instead, create a safe space. Listen without judging. Offer support without prying. And when they finally whisper, I'm not okay, hold that truth gently. You'll be one of the rare few who gets to see the real, unfiltered INFJ, and that's a gift they don't give lightly.